collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Prime Universe Knockout from the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So I forgot about this guy, I have to admit. He is actually from Wave 2. I've already done all of Wave 3, and now I'm starting to get stuff in for Legacy Evolution. So I do apologize that it's been so long before I got to this guy. But now we're finally finishing off Wave 2, so with this, all of Legacy will be done and reviewed, and we can get ready for Evolution to get here probably in the next couple days, which is actually pretty exciting. So packaging pretty standard here, but we have some nice artwork of the vehicle mode here on the front, and then we have some nice artwork of the robot mode over here on this side, and then we have our kind of standard Decepticon picture here for Legacy. Not really anything going on the top or bottom, and then over here on the back we have some nice product shots for the robot mode and the vehicle mode, and you get the little QR code here with the tech specs. So gonna go ahead, get this guy out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Knockout out of the packaging, and just like Bulkhead and RC before him, he is a kind of G1 reimagining of a Prime Universe character, so it has very G1 look to it, but I think it actually looks pretty cool. Now you can probably tell right away that this is a repaint / remold of Studio Series 86 Jazz. And I don't remember the backpack being this big on Jazz. I feel like it really just hangs here, and it just looks so much more massive on Knockout. And I'm not really sure why. I'm sure it's exactly the same, but I don't know why it just looks bigger to me on the back. But overall, I think this was pretty successful. I think he looks pretty cool. I really like the head sculpt. I think they did a nice job there. Definitely reminds me of Knockout, but definitely has a G1 feel to it. Kind of reminds me of like a Japanese Decepticon or something. He just kind of has that look to it to me. Maybe like he could be in part of Leo Zarek or something like that. I just feel like that's what it kind of reminds me of. But some really nice paint applications there for the face. Nice white there. You have some nice silver here for the grill. Got some translucent plastic here for the headlights. You got a really tiny Decepticon symbol there, and I would have liked it to be larger, maybe up in this area. I'm guessing they didn't want to split it between the two panels there, but maybe they could have outlined it in white or black or something just to make it stand out a little bit, because as it is, it really just blends into that red, and you hardly notice it. Some nice silver down here in the abdomen, a little bit of red here on the shins. We'll take a look at the paint in vehicle mode, but I think it looks really sharp. So articulation-wise, we have the head on a ball joint. You can look side to side. You can look up ever so slightly, look down ever so slightly. Can't really rock side to side all that much. You have a rotation and a hinge here in the shoulder. You have a bicep swivel. You have 90 degrees there in the elbow. Don't really have anything in the wrist because they just rotate into the forearms for transformation. You have a waist swivel here. Kick really far forward. Pretty far back, but the thigh piece kind of hits into the waist piece there. And then kick pretty decently there out to the side. So pretty good hip articulation. You have a thigh swivel. You have, I would say 90 degrees in the knee, but if you really wanted to, you could kind of disengage this section here and do all kinds of crazy knee maneuvers. But this is supposed to peg in there, so really that's not the knee joint. But if you wanted to use it, you could. And then you have ankle tilt here. Now, I will say in the box, he is mistransformed, and he has this panel up here like this, like he's going into the vehicle mode, and that's going to completely hinder the ankle tilt. So if you're wondering why your ankle tilt's not working, it might just be because he's mistransformed in the box, and that should be rotated there, and that will allow you to get the full movement there out of the ankle tilt. Now, he does come with two accessories. He's got this kind of blaster-ish staff piece, and then he's got this kind of trident piece that's mostly this like translucent, black plastic, but it does have some metallic paint there in the center. Now, you could go ahead and peg this onto the forearm if you want, and then he could use this as a gun. So that kind of looks like a gun there. Or if you really wanted, you could peg this onto the side of the gun. Or if you want, you can use this as kind of like a trident weapon. And they want you to stand up there. They want you to peg this in, I think like this. And then he can grab onto this little staff piece here. And then he's got like a trident I know he had a Trident in Prime. This is very short. I think that one was a lot nicer. You can store this on the back if you want, but because the peg hole's so low, it kind of looks goofy. Why is everything coming unpegged? There we go. So they want you to peg this in here. I feel like either way you do it, it kind of sits a little too low. But you can store it on the back there if you wish. Just going to put that off to the side. And the abdomen keeps coming unpegged. I'm not really quite sure why. But overall, I think he looks pretty cool. But I think the vehicle mode is even cooler, so let's go ahead and get into transformation. So if you've transformed Studio Series Jazz before, it's going to be exactly the same transformation. So we're going to rotate the arms here out to the side, and then fold the fists into the forearms. We're going to straighten out the legs, and if you have the ankle tilt, make sure that they are all straight. And then you're going to take these pieces and bring them around, and then there's a tiny little tab right there, which needs to get sandwiched in between these two little tabs. So let me zoom in here. So right there. So this is going to come around, and then you might have to kind of lift this up a little bit, and then that'll sit right in there. So bring this around, just like that. Then you're going to disengage those knees I showed earlier, and then bring these all the way up to pretty much completely cover the thigh. And if you really wanted, you could just pretend he's really, really short if you wanted to. Go ahead and peg these together here, like so. And then just fold the feet down just like that. At this point, we're going to come around to the back and lift up this section here. Fold what will be the doors down so that we can pull back the back windshield here. Just like that. We're going to lift up this abdomen section that had been unpegging all during the articulation. And we're going to push this forward so that we can spin this part with the head on it around, and that will spin around, and then you push this back up to fill in that space right there. And then you're just going to rotate this around. Oh, I'm sorry, before we do that, this little extra abdomen piece will actually spin around 180 degrees. So pop that up there. Now we can rotate the arms in. And they don't really peg in. They just kind of sit against these little gray pegs over here. So they just kind of keep them in place. The doors are going to peg into these little pegs on the side of the forearms here. And then we're just going to lift this up. Rotate that down. Push that all in. And then this is going to tab into that. And then also just kind of line up the panels here on the sides. So tab. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to get the panels past, but it can be done. So click that all into place, tab that into the forearm, and there we go. There is our vehicle mode. Let me angle this down. I think this looks really cool. I think they did a nice job with the paint applications. I like the yellow here on the wheels. We have this kind of, effect here on the side, which I think looks really cool. Overall, I just think the vehicle mode looks really, really neat. I think they did a good job with this. And then you can bring the accessory if you want to peg it into the side or peg it into the top. Or if you want to separate it and put the gun here on the front and then peg this onto the side, you can certainly do that as well. So you have a few options. But overall, I think the vehicle mode looks really, really cool. I'm going to take these goofy things off. But yeah, I think that's really, really successful. So I understand a lot of people were disappointed with this figure, and I can understand when they first heard that they were getting, some Prime characters in this new line, and they thought they were going to get updates to the original designs, and instead they kind of got these G1 reimaginings of these characters. I can understand why they were a little disappointed, but for what he is, I think this is a fun little figure. I think he looks pretty cool. I really like the vehicle mode. I think that's kind of the more successful of the two. I think that looks really sleek, and I like the paint applications in that mode. The robot mode's fine. I mean, it definitely is kind of just Jazz with Knockout's head. What these kind of remind me of is like a convention exclusive or something, where they're like, hey, we're going to do a Transformers Prime gift set for this convention, and, you know, who can we make out of the molds we have available? That's kind of what this feels like to me. I feel like if this was a convention exclusive and they just said, hey, we made Knockout out of the current Jazz mold, it's a convention exclusive, no one would be upset, but to put him in the main line, nobody was happy with it. So I can understand, but like I said, for what he is, I think he's a fun little figure. I don't think the Trident accessory is very successful. Earlier on in this line, they were kind of doing those translucent energon weapons, and I'm kind of glad that they decided to get away from them, because I just don't really think most of them worked. Just give us normal accessories that make sense for the character. We don't really need a weird gimmick. So like I said, this one is definitely going to be a year mileage will vary kind of a thing. I personally think it's fun, but I also don't have a huge attachment to Prime Knockout. I watched the show. It was fun. I didn't really get super attached to those characters because it kind of came and went real quick, at least for me personally. So I can understand why some people who, like, that was their show, you know, kind of feel a little betrayed by these. But for me, I just think it's a fun use of a pretty good mold, and I think the vehicle mode especially looks really good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.